The search for the lost Inca gold. Imagine a mountain range, a fortress of mist and razor grass, holding a fortune that has haunted men for 5 centuries. A fortune created when a proud emperor met a greedy conqueror. This is the lost Inca gold, a legendary hoard worth billions of dollars, hidden by a vengeful general who vowed the Spanish would never touch a single ounce of it. Get ready to search the deadly slopes of the Llanganates. Intro. 1532. Francisco Pizarro and his tiny band of Spanish conquistadors stood face to face with the emperor of the largest empire in the Americas, Atahualpa. What followed was an act of audacious treachery. In the city of Cajamarca, Atahualpa, captive but defiant, made a proposal that stunned the Europeans. He would fill a room 22 feet long and 17 feet wide, with gold up to the height of his outstretched hand, and 2 smaller rooms twice over with silver. This was the ransom of Atahualpa. The Inca people delivered on the promise. Over 13,000 pounds of gold and twice that much silver, the sacred tears of the sun, was piled high. But gold for the Inca was spiritual, not currency. For the Spanish it was everything. After receiving this staggering bounty, Pizarro broke his oath and executed Atahualpa. That moment of betrayal birthed a new legend, the story of the gold shipment that never arrived. An enormous, final caravan of priceless treasures, including life-sized golden statues and the tiles of the Temple of the Sun, was on its way to Cajamarca when its general, Rumiñahui, the Stone Face, received the news of his emperor's death. Driven by fury and defiance, he diverted the colossal hoard into the deepest, most inaccessible part of the Andes, the Llanganates Mountains. The estimated worth of this legendary hidden treasure is up to $5 billion. For nearly 500 years, the Llanganates have held the secret, claiming the lives of countless who chased its golden lure. The story of this treasure is a tale of greed, betrayal, and sacrifice. The gold that was delivered changed the face of Europe. The gold that was hidden changed the history of the Andes. Subscribe to Adventure Hidden and hit that notification bell, because we're about to follow the trail of the desperate men who searched for the largest lost fortune in history. Chapter 1. The Spiritual Riches and the Betrayal of Cajamarca. Inca Value System. Start by detailing the Inca view of gold, calling it the sweat of the sun, and silver the tears of the moon. Explain that these metals were used for sacred, ceremonial, and royal objects, not as currency, contrasting sharply with the Spanish obsession with bullion. The Ransom Room, El Cuarto del Rescate described the size and scope of Atahualpa's offer. 1 fill of gold to 2.75 meters, and 2 fills of silver. Detail the sheer weight, 13,420 pounds of 22-karat gold and 26,000 pounds of silver, approximate depending on source. Mention that Pizarro and his 160 men became instant millionaires, in modern equivalent, but the true cost was the destruction of magnificent, irreplaceable Inca artistry, which the Spanish immediately melted down into crude ingots. The execution. Explain why Pizarro executed Atahualpa despite fulfilling the ransom, fear of the Inca army, especially the advancing troops of Rumiñahui. The act symbolized the complete conquest and the Spanish disregard for their solemn promise. Chapter 2. The Oath of Rumiñahui and the Llanganates Hoard. Rumiñahui's mission. Detail Rumiñahui's identity as Atahualpa's trusted general, possibly his half-brother. He was marching from the north, Quito, with the final, largest, and most precious segment of the ransom, including the treasures he had salvaged from the Temple of the Sun, Coricancha in Quito. The decision. When the messenger arrived with news of the execution, Rumiñahui, whose name means stone face, made the historic decision. He diverted his massive column of porters, reportedly 60,000 men carrying 750 tons of gold, away from Cajamarca and into the formidable Llanganates mountain range in Ecuador. Hiding the treasure. Detail the 2 main theories for the treasure's fate. Burial in a cave, hiding it deep within an inaccessible cave system along an ancient Inca trail. Sacred dump, throwing the gold, silver, and precious artifacts into one of the remote glacial lakes, known for their immense depth and deadly cold, to eternally deny the invaders the sacred items. Rumiñahui's fate. Rumiñahui continued the fight against the Spanish but was eventually captured and brutally tortured. He never revealed the location of the treasure, taking the secret of the $5 billion hoard with him to his grave. This solidified his legend as the guardian of the Llanganates. The Llanganates are a vast, unforgiving maze of high-altitude jungle, rock, and eternal mist. If you were searching for this colossal treasure, would you trust the word of a betrayed general or the cryptic map of a greedy Spaniard? The next chapter details the only written clue we have. Hit that like button if you're amazed by the scale of this lost fortune, and tell us in the comments if you think the gold is in a cave or at the bottom of a lake. Chapter 3, The Derrotero de Valverde, a Cursed Map. The legend of Valverde introduced the key non-Inca figure José de Valverde, a Spanish adventurer who arrived decades after the conquest. According to legend, he married a local Inca woman whose father, a chieftain, took him to the treasure site as a wedding gift. Valverde became instantly wealthy, confirming the legend's veracity. The deathbed confession. Valverde reportedly became ridden with guilt or fear of a curse and on his deathbed, wrote a cryptic guide, the Derrotero de Valverde, Valverde's Path, giving the King of Spain directions to the hoard. Decoding the Derrotero. Describe the nature of the Derrotero. It's not a modern map but a series of directional landmarks relative to ancient Inca towns and the natural landscape, like the Cerros Llanganates. The directions begin in the town of Pilaro and lead into the mountains, mentioning landmarks like the farm of Moya and the path to a tambo, rest house, before reaching the final hidden location. Quote a small, evocative line from the text: "From thence thou shalt perceive the three Cerros Llanganates." The curse begins, detail the fate of early explorers who followed the Derrotero. Mention the Franciscan friar who, upon finding the site, vanished on his return, and the disappearance of later seekers like the miner Don Atanasio Guzman who claimed to have drafted a detailed map. The belief in a curse, placed by Rumiñahui or the Inca gods, grew with every failed or fatal expedition. Chapter 4, The Endless Quest and the Amazonian Retreat. Richard Spruce and the Map Revival. Introduced the British botanist Richard Spruce who, in 1860, discovered and publicized both the Valverde Derrotero and Guzman's map manuscript in the archives of Latacunga. This discovery launched a new wave of European and American expeditions into the Llanganates. The modern expeditions detail the dangers faced by modern explorers, e.g. razor-sharp arrow grass, treacherous terrain, fatal accidents, the curse. Highlight specific seekers like the treasure hunter Barth Blake who in the 1880s claimed to have found the gold, life-size statues of humans, birds and flowers, but tragically vanished on his return journey, likely pushed overboard. Mention recent expeditions using advanced technology like ground-penetrating radar. The Paititi Connection. Shift the focus eastward into the Amazonian basin, introducing the other great Inca gold legend, Paititi, the lost city of gold. After the Spanish took Cusco, the final Inca rulers retreated to Vilcabamba, and legend holds that Inca nobles fled even deeper into the jungle of the Peruvian and Bolivian Amazon, Manu or Madre de Dios regions, taking an immense final hoard of gold to establish a final golden refuge. Explorers like Percy Fawcett were obsessed with this parallel legend, believing Paititi to be the final repository of the Incas' untouchable wealth, a place where gold was still used to pave streets and tile temples. The true treasure. Conclude the historical narrative by emphasizing that while the 13,000 pounds of ransom gold funded the Spanish Empire, the lost gold, the spiritual and artistic masterpieces hidden by Rumiñahui and carried to Paititi, remains the true, priceless cultural legacy of the Inca, waiting to be found and understood. Otro. The hunt for the lost Inca gold is more than just a search for $5 billion. It is a 5-century-long dialogue between two profoundly different worlds, one that saw gold as the tears of the sun, and one that saw it as pure, ruthless power. The Llanganates and the Amazonian jungle still guard the secret, maintaining the vow of Rumiñahui. The legends persist, whispered in the Andes winds, the gold is still out there. Now we turn it over to you, the adventure hidden community. Given the curse, the hidden map, and the vastness of the Andes, do you think the gold will ever be found? First, make sure you hit that like button if this journey into the dark heart of the Inca Empire has captivated your imagination. Second, comment below and share your final theory. Hashtag Llanganates Lake or hashtag Paititi City. Tell us which legend you believe holds the key to the Inca's untold fortune. And finally, don't miss our next deep dive into a history that hides more than it reveals. Smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join us on the next adventure into a lost world. Thank you for watching.